Okay, I'm gonna be talking about how the internet really works, and it's really complicated. It's a really weird, it's a different world out there, and I'm gonna try to make it as simple as possible and just give you the actual facts of it and how it works. You might not get it, you might will. It just all depends. But anyway, I'm just gonna try to water it down and give you straight facts. Let's just start with the word internet itself. It comes from the words interconnected networks. The internet has many levels building the internet that we use every day. I'm going to talk about different layers of it and how it goes from big to small. And the topmost layer is commonly called the internet backbone. This level is the main highest traffic network and that interconnects the routers of the second level. The backbones are typically fiber optic trunk lines. The trunk line has multiple cables that are combined together to increase the capacity. Today there are many companies that operate their own high-capacity backbones, and all of them interconnect at various network access points around the world. The next level of the internet is the router, which examines the destinations of individual internet data packets to determine the best route to use to forward the data to its final destination. The third level of the internet is composed of large Tier 1 service providers. These service providers buy backbone bandwidth from the major communications carriers and resell it to the smaller service providers, schools, and corporations. The fourth level is composed of smaller service providers, schools, and corporations. These smaller providers buy bandwidth from Tier 1 providers and interconnect the individual machines within their organizations into a local area network, abbreviated as LAN. The last level of the internet is made up of the connections to individual machines. That's what we do, that's what we care about pretty much. These range from dial-up modems to ISDN to DSL to cable modem to local Ethernet segments. So that's really how it works, and this is a kind of picture of it. You can see it goes from big to smaller and smaller of the Tier 1, then the smaller tiers, and the purple is the actual single computer. So it's cool to see how it goes from big to small. So this is essentially how it works, but for our benefit, how do we actually get to a web page, which we do every day? Well, it's called Internet Protocol, or IP addresses. Each computer on the internet has a unique identifying number called an IP address. And a typical IP address is a series of numbers, like zeros and ones usually, which really worked when there was just a few computers trying to connect. But today, when there's millions and millions of computers trying to connect, it really wouldn't work out. So instead we have what in 1983 the University of Wisconsin created, the domain name system, the DNS, which we use today. We don't need to memorize a series of zeros and ones, but rather a name like youtube.com, like I use today to get this video on the screen. When you connect to YouTube, for example, your computer becomes a client and YouTube is the server. And the server's address hardly ever changes, so we always end up going back to youtube.com or Google or Yahoo, while us as the client, our IP address may change every session because we may be dialing up through a modem. The way in which the server makes its information available is through ports, and each service that a server makes available calls for its own port. And once a client has connected to service on a particular port, it accesses the service using a specific protocol. And protocols are often text and simply describe how the client and server will have their somewhat conversation. All these factors and many more make the internet possible. And as the internet becomes bigger and bigger, it's just going to get more and more complex. Well, that's it about how it works, and now Laurel's going to talk about her part of the project.